Good evening, Master Tanaka. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I am Master Hilarion, and I am here to bring you awareness of what healing is all about. What is this energy that we are always presenting to you, the God's energy? I see that many of you who are present here today really believe in illness. You really believe in lack. You really believe in difficulties. I see that this is what you are living today. Many of you are still living in friction. You have become accustomed to living in disbelief. And this, I tell you, is the biggest barrier to overcome this disbelief. You, through all the creations, the bad creations that you have made in your lives, have come to believe more and more in what is false and disbelieve what is true. You have all come to believe more in difficulties than in your own strength. You gave a greater power to illusion than to truth. And I see that is why today you all do encounter many difficulties in overcoming this obstacle called unbelief. You think that as you possess limiting beliefs, you are beings who believe. When you believe in illusions, we cannot say that you are believing beings. Believers believe in truth, believe in love, believe in the God's energy. Many of you, throughout your lives, some of you have been indoctrinated through religions. So you have some knowledge of the words of our beloved Master Jesus. And through what you have absorbed, through these doctrines, regardless of what they are, you have absorbed a fantasy belief of what the energy of Jesus Christ is. Everyone has always believed that Jesus was a very different being from you. And through the messages that you have been receiving, even from our beloved Master Jesus, what you have come to realize is that when Jesus was incarnated here on planet Earth, he was also like you. He also had phases of disbelief. He also had phases where he lived in friction. He had all these illusions manifested in his life. But through a greater force, I would say, because this greater force comes from his being, a desire, a real desire to know the truth. Because if you believe that difficulties, that diseases, that lacks are the truth, you are very far away from the love of God. So, when you manifest the real desire to know the truth because you, at your core, you know that God's love is none of those things you are experiencing. If you really have the real desire to know the truth, you can overcome, as our beloved Master Jesus also managed to overcome, this barrier called unbelief. But you see, it is based on really believing that there is a much greater love, on believing that there is this energy called God. That is why we say that everything is inside what you believe. To believe in a God who is outside of you and that he will bring everything to you on a platter, that is not believing in God. That is the fantasy that you have put on for yourselves. But if you really have within your being the will to manifest your own strength, the desire to manifest your own power, to manifest your belief in God, that belief, it wells up in your being, because there is no barrier that can hold the energy of God. But God's energy, it is conditioned within your being. It is conditioned within this limitation that you have imposed on yourself. And since you are in charge of your life, this God energy, it stays that way, the way you have imposed on it. That's why if you really pull from within your being the will, the desire to know God's energy, to manifest God's energy, to recognize your being, the power, the strength of God, it comes out. This manifests itself in your being. Because this is your true essence, this is your energy, and this is the healing. Healing, it never meant what you have here. Because you believe in healing only if there is illness. Healing, it's not related to illness. And this you must really try to understand. Because for healing to exist, it is not necessary for there to be illness. Healing is the manifestation of God's energy. And you only manifest this energy when you really want to manifest it. It's not a rational desire. It is a desire that pulsates in your being. It pulsates stronger than your own heart, this physical heart that sustains your physical life. This desire, it pulsates much stronger than your heart. It is a force. It is a belief that you manifest in love. It is a belief that you manifest in wanting to discover the good that is for all people. The good of God is not limited. The good which is God's energy is open to all. It is an inexhaustible energy. The more you wish to emanate this God energy, the more you wish to be a conductor of this good to everyone, the more and more it flows into your being. Because this energy, it is the energy of creation. And this is what Master Tanaka has always been explaining to all of you. That you have to have this desire really here in the bottom of your heart. You have to have this desire to know God's energy. You have to really believe in God's energy. And from the moment you believe in God's energy, you want to know God's energy. You want to manifest God's energy. And this is what I, Master Hilarion, call healing. Because when you manifest this energy, everything in your life opens up. All the barriers, they fall down. All those barriers, they disappear. Because you will come to live God's truth. And God's truth is not diversified. It does not have this right or wrong, good or evil. It doesn't have these judgments. And from the moment you are free of judgments in your life, your horizon expands. And your way of living, your way of relating, your way of seeing life is transformed. Because you begin to recognize that all beings are divine beings, that all beings are God, that all are manifestations of God. But for this, it is necessary that you open your heart. When this heart of yours, this part of feeling, stays closed, stays blocked, stays so hardened, you cannot manifest this desire to know God's energy. Because you have gotten used to keeping it closed here, to live these lukewarm lives, these lives often without any purpose. So open your heart. Want to know God's energy. Many ask themselves, how am I going to manifest God's energy? How am I going to manifest an energy that I don't know what it's about? As much as we are pointing you to it, you still don't have your own experience of what this energy we are pointing you to is. So you feel insecure. You have no confidence. But this confidence will never come to you if you stay this way. This security, this confidence will only come to you from the moment you decide to know God's energy. From the moment you know God's energy, you will see that everything transforms. So, my advice to you, work on this desire. Work on breaking through all the hardness in your heart. Open yourselves. Open yourselves up to the light. Open yourselves up to receive our love. Open yourselves up to receive our energy. When we are here bringing you messages, we are emanating our energy to all of you. Open your hearts to receive them. Open up so that our energy can break through that hardness and you can manifest the desire to know God's energy. This is something you will have to practice. Practice receiving our energies. Practice yourself to open your hearts. Practice the desire to manifest God's energy. Practice the desire to know God's energy. You have to be like that water that hits the stone until the stone it breaks. Isn't that it? Something like that. But you have to be like that little drop of water that keeps dripping, 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 always in the same spot until it gets the opening. Do this to yourselves. As we always tell you, be loving to yourself. Unconditional love. It begins toward yourself. When you impose a condition on yourself to love yourself, it is not unconditional love. Because many times you will love yourself only if you can do something. If you get that result, then you love yourself. So that is why I tell you, unconditional love starts with yourselves. And from the point where you emanate unconditional love for yourself, you will emanate unconditional love for everyone. That is why our beloved Master Jesus said, love your next as yourself. So remember, unconditional love begins with yourselves. Only then you will achieve your goals. Because if you don't have unconditional love for yourselves, you cannot accomplish anything at all in your lives. Because you still be trapped within beliefs, which are those conditions that you have set for yourself to love. And it is these conditions that you have set for loving yourself that causes lack of love that you have for yourself. So release all the conditions that you have set for loving yourself and start working in this way to know God's energy. So with this orientation, with much love, with much gratitude, I say goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.